handling of the NSAS protest by the Lagos state government continues to attract criticism because of the gun attack on young protesters by soldiers under the guise of enforcing a curfew. Ironically, that restriction of movement had perhaps the unintended effect of unleashing the darker side of life in the city as hoodlums took over the streets and made life a living hell for the residents for a number of days in the past week. But the more worrying part appears to be the ongoing mob action in different states of the Federation, including Lagos, as desperate elements break into government warehouses, carting away tons of relief materials, which the Nigerian Governors Forum claim are being reserved for a second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. The moral significance of the argument for or against such action cannot be underestimated. There are also increasing targeting of physical assets of some politicians across the country, even as authorities continue to look helpless in the face of the frightening scenario. For a wider conversation on this, we're now being joined by Chris Akomas, a former Deputy Governor of Abia State in southeast Nigeria. Welcome to the program, sir. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Good morning, Dr. Akomas. Thank you for joining us. Well, you were Deputy Governor in Abia State, and you've remained in politics all through. You are also a member of the Board of Trustees of the APC. And like all of us, you must have followed the crisis that overtook the country in more than 2 weeks now. What's your reading of what has happened so far? Do you think that this is a revolt of the poor against the rich, the privileged? We saw politicians across the country having their homes attacked. COVID-19 palliatives warehouses across the country were being attacked and looted. And some people have even gone for that to say that this is also an indication of the failure of the leadership elite in Nigeria. But what's your own take?
Thank you very much, Dr. Bati. You first of all, let me join other well-meaning Nigerians in expressing my condolences to families and loved ones that lost people during this protest and crisis, especially, what happened to all of us, because when any man in police uniform is killed, that affects all of us, because that uniform is the strength that we have given to that person by all of us. No life should be lost, not that of any citizen of this country for any reason, for a matter as expressing one's belief and one's feelings and convictions. So it is very disheartening that that happened. Talking about what the expression means and what it has come to, there has been, for me, I have followed the whole process, the NSAS, protests from the beginning, which was very peaceful. But because it was elongated, it stayed on longer than necessary, even after the government had agreed and started action to respond to the 5-for-5 demand. It now moved to a level where other things have followed. And if you look at it from the benefit of hindsight now, it does appear that it was a web of properly weaved action. The intentions may not have been clear to those that started the NSAS movement. It may not also have been clear to all of us, because we all felt that anything that had to do with reforming the system to the betterment of the country was very important. And the youth expressing the need to reform and stop police brutality was well received. But going further and things started happening, I think the aspect that actually gave rise to this had to do with disobedience at some point. Ruben, you know as well as I do that the purpose of having a government is to ensure the security and welfare of citizens. to ensure that lives and property are protected. So if for any reason, in the course of protest or expression of one's feelings, anger, or conviction, in the course of doing that, in the course of pursuing injustice, trying to correct things to say, this is not just, let us have justice to prevail. And in the course of doing that, it leads to others suffering injustice, then something must be done. It is unfortunate that we have this experience and what happened at the toll gate. In another forum, I did say that the facts were still hazy. It was very unclear that with time we will get to know what happened. And as we can see, things are beginning to happen. Things are beginning to come out. Initially, people we brought up, messages of one celebrity that was killed or that, and those celebrities will come out on their own to say, look, I'm alive. And then all issues and issues followed. But now we're following, and we hope, and I do hope sincerely, that at the end of the day, the panel of inquiry and all the people working on this will come out and give us concrete evidence of what really happened. The facts are important for the future, for tomorrow. But let me say this. What happened at the toll gate? How did it come to be? We keep talking about the Lekki toll gate incident without looking at what actually ignited it. Before that, people have been there for that number of days, 12 days, and going on. But when things started happening in other places, like what happened in Benin, where people in correctional service centers were freed, where things were being looted, in Osun, a governor was attacked, and I commend everybody, both the government and the governed, for the restraint, in such cases. Malls were being attacked. Then banks, what did the bank do? What did the shop owners, the struggling Nigerians that opened their little shops and things, their shops were being looted? What has, I've always asked, what did Abia Town Hall, one of the oldest town halls in this country, do? What was the relationship between that and NSAS, or police brutality? What has a number of other things that happened, MP, and so it started moving towards a kind of economic attack on our economic, interest. BRT. How many times have anybody seen the governor of Lagos State join the BRT bus? How many times? Why would anybody try to enter the airport to take over? What was that for? So there is a web and all that bothers me, and I feel that as we move ahead, move forward on this, there are a number of issues and a number of things to look at. While looking at the mitigating efforts, the need for serious mitigation efforts that we have to undertake by way of compensation and provisions that will help all these people affected get back to business, we have to look at the demography of the kind of youth we have. We have the very enlightened one. We have those that are, kind of semi-enlightened. And then we have those that are not so enlightened. All of them are citizens of this country. They are all our youth. When you talk about 65% of youth population, all of them are included. Both the ones that are, well-mannered and those that are ill-mannered, they are all Nigerians. I think we have to go back to the drawing board, look at what to do with these youths at this level now, and also work on the young ones that are coming up, because it does appear that our value systems changed so much, and the perception of things and people have changed, and the education, there is a gap, because we need to capture all these aspects in order to ensure that things like this don't happen. So it was the issue of people taking laws into their hands that led to imposition of or declaration of curfew. And when a curfew is declared by the government you put in place, there is need to at least obey every responsible citizen has that responsibility to obey the laws of the land, because it is meant for the interest of the majority. It may not be very good and acceptable to you as a person, but if it is for the interest of the majority, for public good, then let us try to obey. I think it was that aspect that ignited all this, bringing in more people, trying to enforce things, and then we had all this. And then thereafter, following that, it became a good excuse for people with regard and call them hoodlums. I wonder what we mean by that. Yes, there were hoodlums, but what about those women and children? I read and saw, pictures of some children, young ones, that died in the course of this looting of warehouses and other things. Some people suffocated. We talk of looting of palliatives. Why was it kept and all that? There is no justification for criminality in any way. No justification for criminality.
Indeed, sir.
Looting of yes.
There is no justification for criminality, but do you, in your opinion, was there a justification for what has been described as hoarding of COVID-19 palliatives? You will recall that CACOVID issued a statement that the reason why those items had not been distributed in some states was to do with the large order, the volume of the order and production cycles. There were some delays there. And also the Nigerian Governors Forum issued a statement denying any kind of hoarding and saying that they were trying to keep some supplies in case of a second wave of COVID-19. Are you persuaded by either of those arguments?
No, I'm not, because I believe that the facts are yet to come out, and they have to come clear. CACOVID said these things actually started in August, and they had to take precaution in order not to ignite spiral inflation in the system, and to ensure that our manufacturers and farmers benefit from it, because looking at the volume of what was being ordered, it's a good one. And for items that they started delivering from August, and in October, somebody says they have been there for too long, that is also something that has to be checked. Then from the side of the governors, who are also that have made their own stand and points known, that's why I said there are a lot, so much that meets the eye. So if we continue to do this blame game, we have so much. There are more than enough blames to go around everybody and both sides many times. That is not what our focus should be now. Our focus should be on how did we get here? Why did we get here? What were the things we did wrong? What were the things we didn't do right? And how best can we remedy the situation and move on and strengthen our country together? So, and I think part of part of that is that.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Part of that is for us to first recognize that this anger expressed by the youth is something that has been there. We've had these problems over the years. And at this time, people just got too tired of it. It's not from one administration, either the current, but it has been there over the years. The anger too it was built up over time. Things continued to happen. Impunity should not be allowed in any form, whether be it SARS, be it from government, be it from anybody at all. Impunity and the denigration of our humanity should not be it's not acceptable and should not be allowed. And I think that is something we all agree and accept. And so since that is the case, who are those that have, either by omission or commission, decided to employ and use impunity to denigrate our humanity? Who are those that have pressured these people, these patient people, to such a point that it is boiling now? And now that the situation is tense and like this, what are the things and the actions we should take to make things, better, and then work on our future so that we won't have a repeat of this kind of situation again?
Let me answer a very, very pertinent question you asked. You say, how did we get here? Let me tell you how we get here, sir. Unemployment rate in Nigeria in the 70s was 6.2%. In the 80s was 9.8%. In the 90s was 11.5%. But today it is 27.1%. This is one of the ways we got where we are today. How can we come out of this by creating jobs? How can we create those jobs? How can we get these people working with this same energy they have at looting? How can we get them working?
Thank you very much, Rufai. Yeah, I think the point is very clear. Let me start from an experience. I have been very much involved in human resource, activities, especially in recruitment and human capital development. I want to tell you the percentages you reeled out. Go back and look at our training manuals, our curriculum, the systems in the universities in those years, and even in the primary and secondary schools. And then you look at what we have now. A friend of mine, God bless his soul, he's no longer a professor. He was very good to one of my friends. So I went to him to thank him. I said, Prof, thank you very much for what you are doing for my friend. He said, Chris, you help those that are helpable. That is one. When we now have more people that obtain their certificates by intimidating lecturers and forcing people, this is what you get. When you have people who obtain their certificates by sorting, this is what you get. I am not saying we have enough jobs. We must create jobs, and there are ways of creating jobs. But then people have been trained half-baked, and we have to go back and get them to be trained properly. There should be a skill program, a tooling program to equip these people. And people should begin to think of other ways of appreciating the dignity in labor, not necessarily when you are employed or engaged in a government appointment. There are so many jobs that people can do and still feel good and be proud of. But in this country, I tell you, we don't even have so much respect for our handymen and artisans. Yet, we cannot move without them. We look down on them, and they are the ones that keep us going. We have so many things that we can do in that area by organizing the system to certify these people and give them good pay so that they can earn well. That's one. Two, we have been talking about the shortage of manpower in our security systems. That's another area where we can also create a whole lot of jobs, and we train the people properly. Three, we need to train and retrain. My brother, I thank God for what the president did recently about special salary scale for teachers. Some of us decided on the course that we pursued, decided on the kind of character and the mode we wanted to be because of the personality of those that taught us. These days, people have less or little respect for teachers. First-class materials don't even stay in the system, while in the past, it wasn't like that. Most of us, you get your PhD, you have to look for somewhere Toronto instead of engaging with this. We don't, our R&D effort is practically not, because it's not being properly funded. So you don't see people doing as effectively research and development that should be done. There are many ways of, and please, we are still bereft of data. Our data collection and building system is faulty. If you can't effectively say now in Nigeria, these are the number of civil engineers that we have. These are the years they graduated, and these are the experiences they have had. These are the hands-on business. You can't even say that of the psychologists, the criminologists, and all that. You can't say that of the insurance people. So, and that is why we have so many quack, and then fraud, everything. And our value system, like I said before, we have forgotten, and that moral aspect. So we have a lot of work to do. And when I was asking those questions, it was just to tune our mind to the areas where we need to sit down, work together, and also think of these youths, the ones that need you. Everybody cannot be gentlemen. Everybody can also not be on the other side. But you have to work out how best to make sure that all these people, instead of being a liability, one way or the other, will become, an asset for the country and for our society. And that is what we have to do. My father said that in a large family, you cannot have everybody being good prayer people. Some people will be good in praying. Some will be good in singing. Some will be good also in fighting. But there must be control of that fight, so that it will just be that they got angry and couldn't control themselves at that point. When you call them back, there should be a system that makes them come back and stop fighting.
Well, Dr. Akomas, well, you said a lot in terms of what actions can be taken. But what do you have to say to the political elite that found itself in the crossfire? We saw the homes of lawmakers, senators, members of the House of Reps, other prominent people in society. Their homes were attacked. Their personal belongings were looted. Is that something about alienation between the political leadership and the people? And if so, how do you, what should the political elite, what should they do to rebuild trust with the people?
Actually, I'm so concerned and worried about that. Concerned in the sense that there's a lot to it. For those in politics, a lot can happen. People can organize things within an opportunity to do some things. First, my heart goes out to them. And if you look at these people, they have struggled over the years to put up whatever they have. They didn't just come into politics overnight. And I used to tell a friend that there was this perception that everybody in politics was a dropout. It's when you get into politics that you know that it's hard work, that you know that a lot is involved. Rebuilding trust is very important, because the question here are a number of, in several numbers or ways. One, the actions that happened, was it an action that was propelled, given impetus by local political situations, or just an action that happened as a happenstance? Or could it be that some people somehow felt they did some things for some people and they were not, well remunerated, and they have this opportunity? Again, like I said, perception, because most times people see those in politics that once you have that name, there is money everywhere. Where even the land, the place you step on turns to money. And nobody believes that at times you don't even have the money to do things. So it's an unhealthy development. It's very bad because in every community, you look up and look forward to having people like that. In my place, you say you have an Iroko in the society or in the community. And when you have an Iroko, the Iroko may not actually be on your land or in your destiny, but the fact that it provides shades, when you get there, you can sit and rest, and it helps everybody. And people can also, you know, talk about you and your place by saying, if you get to that Iroko tree, you go so number of houses. So it's always a pride, no matter how you look at it, for any community or society to have lustrous sons. And so what happened is something that requires serious study, and it's of serious concern to me, and I believe it will be for other politicians too. And for the political elite, it tells a lot, and it means a question that we should ask ourselves: how well are we with the grassroots and the people, and how well are we doing with those that like and love us very much, and those that are propelling us by not liking us that very much, but who are envious of our achievements and growth. So these are issues and things we have to look at. And I think there must be, I have belonged to a group, and we've started already talking about these things, what could have caused this, and what are the likely reasons, and how do we ensure that these kind of things don't happen. But you can't get that immediately. We are still following up to find out. So it's of great concern, and I believe we should all work towards ensuring that things like that don't happen. And I appeal sincerely to our youth, to our young ones, so please be patient. They have tried. They should try. We did not get to where we are in a day. When they see people and they see things, they should also, well, you know, be happy of that blessing, so that blessings can come to them. And then when we see opportunity to help people, let us always help. It is important that, because what we give, I have this thing, that what we give out while alive is only what we take when we are no more. It's mostly what people remember. The good things you do, hardly people talk about it when you're alive. It's the bad ones they remember. But if you do good things, they will remember it, whether that person is still alive or not. So it's a challenge. This is a great challenge. It did not happen just in the South. It did not just happen in one place in the North. It happened in a number of places. And these are serving, you know, people that are serving us, who go through a lot. But like I said, we must work on our perception of the system, of the place, of what government is all about, so that we can, you know, qualitatively improve things. And then there is need for us actually to really get back to the grassroots again and work within the system to capture our young ones before they grow up with this mentality. Ruben, I must add here that one of the problems we have is this entitlement mentality. The entitlement mentality has become a big problem. When we were growing up, your parents will tell you, you make sure you get well educated, have a skill or something to do. You know you are a man, you have to provide for your wife and children, you have to get married. And when you find somebody to marry, you come and tell your parents. Of course, they'll be happy. The next thing will be, when do you want us to go? They ask you, when do you want us to go? Because they believe you are prepared. Then they give you support. But these days, when most children find a wife, or you help them find a wife, the next thing will be, how do I get this lady married to my wife? How do I now get them this and that? The level of taking responsibility has dropped. We got it wrong somewhere, that we gave this mentality of entitlement to the upcoming ones, and most of them seem to be relaxed. You know, a number of them, not most, you know, seem to be relaxed, and that is contributing to what is happening. Thereby looking at life as something that you just, you know, walk in and walk out like that, because my parents was this, because my uncle was this, because my townsman is this. You'll be walking and somebody will say, come and settle me, oh, you've not settled me. And the person saying that, you may have struggled to open up a business for that person, or give to that person what he or she asked for, that will help the person start a business or start a life. And then we just squander it, not knowing that if you on your own behave that way, spend in that manner, there will be nothing left to, you know, spare. So I think there are, like I said, a whole lot. We really need to do a lot, politically, socially, educationally, morally, and otherwise. And I think from also the faith-based system, this alert miracle, all these things, if you just stay and have night vigil from Monday to Sunday, something, money will come from nowhere and all that. We also need to work on our religious. Yes, no, it's not that we should not be spiritual, but even the Bible said faith without work is vain. It also says that a little slumber, a little sleep, then poverty will creep in. Well, so it means you have to work. And my people...
Okay, you know, just summarize.
I just want to say that my people say that a dirty hand feeds the mouth. When you make your hand dirty, there'll be food to eat.
Thank you very much, Dr. Akomas, for your very engaging contributions. Thank you.